serious gamers out there. Welcome to the PlayersToo Podcast, the video game podcast for gamers like you, by gamers like you. You can find PlayersToo on all the social media, that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, the lot. You can also find our written content over at PlayersToo.com, that's PlayerStoo.com. And if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts, that really helps us out. It does a huge amount for the exposure to the show, and if you're someone who's already done that for us, thank you so much. It really does a huge amount to help us out. And while you're over there giving us 5 stars, you might as well leave a little review as well. Not a big diatribe, just a wee thumbs up emoji is good enough for us. Alright, and on with the show. With me as always, Mr. Lewis Camley. How's it going, Lewis?
It's going well, Mark. Yeah, how you doing?
I am okay. I am tired after a weekend of being away. I had slept for about 10 hours over the space of 3 days, which was exhausting, to say the least. But yeah, I'm doing good. Back and ready to do a podcast.
Nice one.
All right, what have you been playing?
Yeah, well, I had quite a chill weekend actually, and actually took a few days off and didn't do anything that I was supposed to do.
That's very rare for you.
It is extremely rare, and so I just filled it with gaming, which has meant that I've continued on with Control, which I've been talking about the last few weeks.
Awesome.
I've not quite finished it yet, but I think I might be about 2 missions from the end. I'm definitely in the end zone.
Yeah,
some fairly serious story beats are happening.
Cool.
And I got what is definitively now the last power, which I won't talk about in case it is a spoiler, but it's fucking cool. And yeah, once you get to this point in the game, you feel very powerful, and it's really fun to play.
Performance issues?
Still there. The update hasn't fixed everything.
I've kind of read around, although it might have been slightly better.
Yeah.
Still not perfect.
There's a lot less frame rate dropping during combat. In fact, I would say probably none. I think it's more or less being dealt with, but still issues around the map, still issues around when you pause, particularly if you pause while either kind of straight pause to go to the options menu or like to go into your loadouts and stuff. If you do that particularly while it's either like auto-saving or there's like an achievement on screen or some piece of information is just flashed up, it can be really janky as it comes back on, like when you unpause.
It's so bizarre. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a strange one. Like again, it doesn't...
I'm sure some tech savvy listener out there can tell us, but I have no idea why that would be. It's crazy.
And considering that one part of it's been fixed but one hasn't, it's a strange one. It really doesn't affect your gameplay as long as you don't do something stupid like pause in the middle of a fight. But yeah, still like loads and loads of fun. Really enjoying it. The world just continues to get absolutely madder and madder. So that's been great. I have also continued with Baba Is You, and I think I'm potentially on the penultimate puzzle in that as well.
Really? Oh my god.
Yeah.
How many puzzles are in it?
Not sure, and so I could be wrong on that, but like based on the overworld layout, it kind of opens up a new section once you've cleared what looks to be like all the areas, maybe bar one area. Once you've done those, it opens up a sort of level 8, 9 and 10 at the top, 7, 8, 9, 10, which kind of relates to what happens at the start of the game. But we're now on level 10 of that part, so I think when I've done this, it might unlock a final area. And that'll be it. And there's still definitely puzzles all the way through the game that we've not done because you only need to beat a certain amount to clear areas. But generally speaking, we have done most in each area. It's only when we've been really stumped that we've moved on. And there's some bonus levels that haven't really done yet that are just kind of the same level again, but with like slightly changed rules. So yeah, like very nearly done. Like
nice
potentially,
nice one.
Well, maybe still got loads to go, and that would be totally great. But I think in terms of actually kind of clearing the basics of it, like pretty much there, unless it's going to, something.
No, that's awesome. It sounds like you're definitely getting through
some full throttle games. So that might mean by next week I might have finished both Control and that. And I have also this weekend, finally finished Return of the Obra Dinn.
Yeah, man.
Which we spoke about a wee bit last week, and I won't go on about for like too long. But my God, what a game! Really special game. I think it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Absolutely not. Like look into it a bit before you buy it if you are interested, because it's quite a kind of deep and intense puzzler with not a lot of action, a lot of walking around, but it's stunning. And the way it ends is just perfect. It doesn't try and like pull a fast one or whatever. It's just like it's been telling you the story all the way through, and you've unlocked piece by piece, and by the end you're like, great. I know what happened on that ship, and that's sort of like all you've been trying to do the whole time.
That's pretty cool, man. I kind of like that. It's a very concise ending. It's not trying to do anything overly clever. It's just trying to tell you this story of these people on this boat, and then that's the end of the game.
And it's just a really satisfying feeling having kind of worked it all out. I brute forced wee bits of it at the end, which I'm not totally satisfied with, but like you're totally in a position to do that. So, but yeah, there's just like such a satisfaction to realizing that you've like worked it all out, and you get to unlock this final little level, and you do that, and that kind of reveals the kind of core mystery, and you're like, cool, perfect.
in the same way, it's kind of in the same vein as Baba Is You as well, in that it's kind of logic puzzle A as well. Like, if this person did this and this person did this, then this person couldn't have done that, so it must be this person and not this person.
Exactly that. And it's like listening to the audio that you get at the start of Memories and literally going like, that sounds like a Welsh voice, and I know that this person must be, because of where they are on the ship at this point, they're most likely a seaman, and there's only 2 Welsh seamen, and one of them I've already identified, or whatever. Like, it's literally going down to that level. And,
God, that's amazing.
And that's
I love
like
that. That's so cool.
The big problem with it, though, is like that I played it over months, and so remembering some of that information is quite tricky when you do that. My final play counter was about 15 hours, so if you've got the time and the kind of persistence with it to just go and play it all in like a couple of sittings, that's probably a better way to do it, just in terms of maintaining information. But yeah, superb, really good fun, so definitely recommend it. Yeah. What about you? What have you been playing? You've been away? Did you?
I have been away, but before I went away, Lewis, I stayed up until an irresponsible time in the night and finished Fire Emblem. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I really loved the story. I'm still not massively keen on the path that I went down. I'm still not hugely sure I would choose to do that again. Basically, there's one point in the story, right, where, and it does come up and tell you this, and it does come up and say, whatever decision you make here is going to change the game going forward. And it made me do something. Well, it never made me do something. I just felt as if both options weren't really earned, or not in a big enough way. Not in a big enough way. And it was only after you made this decision that it then felt as if it was trying to backtrack a little bit and going, well, oh no, you made the right decision because of all these things. And then it's laid out after the fact.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but so I felt as if it didn't really earn your betrayal of a certain, or like turn against someone.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do all this without spoilers. So it was either you go with this group of people or you go with this group of people. And I felt as if it didn't really earn me making that decision in the way that it was making me make that decision. Does that make sense? But despite that, I thought that the story that it told was absolutely superb for one of these type of games as well. I thought that the quite heavily political world that they built up around this game was absolutely fascinating. And despite being quite high fantasy, was very grounded somehow as well. It was great. I really, really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. As I said last week, I was quite happy for it to be over.
Yeah.
I think my clock was my in-game clock was at like 90 hours or something like that. Maybe more than that, maybe 95. Probably closer to 85 in reality, with all my pausing and walking away from the game and just leaving it on. But nonetheless, it was still a huge amount of time that I was spent in that game, and I'm just quite ready to move on. I've got a copy of Control now.
Good stuff.
That's very much ready to be installed and very much ready to move on to that.
Yeah.
However, I was away, which was just me in a big house in the nice countryside of Scotland somewhere. Getting drunk in a big house. It was really good.
Alone?
No, with friends. With friends. I do have some of them that aren't loose. Yeah, no, it was just great. And there was 4 Switches in that house, which was superb. We were playing loads of Mario Kart and loads of Smash. It was totally awesome. It was a really, really good weekend. But one game that we played that I had never heard of before was a game called Heave Ho, which is like a 2D physics platformer where it's just like you've got to work together to get to a particular point in this map. The only controls in it are your L and your R are left hand and right hand grabbing. Then the joystick, which just moves you in that direction. So it would be as if you were grabbing with your right hand and you move the Joy-Con to the right, then you would just pull yourself along. And then if you were pulled along, and then you can move it back and you push yourself away. And that's how you kind of moved around. So we were playing with 4 people, and it was just about making like massive human chains and swinging between these like almost impossible to get to platforms for someone just to grab on. The level of communication that we had to do while being quite drunk was staggering.
Yeah, nice.
And the fact that we managed to do any of it at all was remarkable. But it was just really good fun. It was just a game I'd never heard of. It came totally out of left field. It was another one of my friends that had bought it, and it was just great. It was just a great little party game. And it was just great dumb fun. It was made by Devolver Digital as well, or it was published by them even. But it was just so in the vein of their thing. It was just like dumb good fun, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely
straightforward.
I so loved it.
Nice.
And we have also been playing, so because the NES games. So
SNES.
after the SNES game, came out on Switch last week, we decided that we'd play Super Metroid for the first time. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, I've got to say.
Yeah,
it was really good.
We made good progress, and yeah, it's just loads of fun. The controls are difficult, and I'm sort of dreading playing it again after this, just because it's going to take about 20 minutes just getting used to it again. It's like, I think it's like triangle. Obviously, this is on Switch, but who knows what those buttons are. The triangle button was shoot, and the circle button was jump instead of being the other way around or whatever. Like, it just didn't seem to work. But
yeah, it just didn't feel right. But yeah, it was great, and you were mesmerised by the saving.
The great save thing, yeah. It just makes this amazing noise and this cool little graphic of Samus being kind of like zapped in a box thing. I just really enjoyed it. One of those like very simple like gaming moments that just brings you pleasure for some reason. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's us discussing a game that's 25 years old and saying that one of the best games ever is a really good game, and we're thoroughly enjoying playing it. And you can see so much of other Metroidvanias, like more modern Metroidvanias, that have extrapolated from that formula in that game. No, it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed doing it, and it was quite good to do just because they were like fresh out. And it was good. It was great. All right, on to the news then. All right, and news item number 1. There was a lot of Death Stranding gameplay loose. How many minutes was it? 49 minutes? 48 minutes?
Yeah, one video was 49 minutes, and then there was a second video released that was about 40, I think, as well. So
there was a second video of 40 minutes? Oh, good lord.
And nothing happens in it.
Oh my god. Anyway, this all came out of the Tokyo Game Show last week. Both of those videos, I assume, were in Japanese, because the first one that I watched some of was in Japanese. So therefore, it was quite difficult to watch and understand what was happening on screen, but the PlayStation blog have actually done a great little summary of the gameplay. We'll put links to that at the show notes over at PlayersToo.com. But Lewis Camley was an absolute trooper and sat through 2 Japanese videos with no subtitles. How did that go?
It was an experience. Much like I imagine this game is going to be. Good grief. Hideo Kojima just speaks incessantly over the top of these 2 gameplay videos. So there's one, the key one to watch if you're going to watch any of them. There's one that's 48 minutes long. It's the one that the PlayStation blog refers to, and that's the one that you see a lot of actual gameplay mechanics at work. The second video, which I'll just address now, is more or less just Norman Reedus' character sat in what's sort of like the loading bay, I guess, like a bit like the helicopter in Metal Gear Solid 5. You are just kind of there, and that's where you might do some setup stuff or whatever. And in that video,
so it was discussing like setup.
Like it was basically showing you a lot of. I mean, I don't know what he was saying, so I can't tell you specifically. But he was just showing you a lot of the different things that the character can do in that space. So it was things like use the toilet. Seriously, twice in the video, like pees and has a sit down.
Down.
I mean, you don't know what
that was
doing,
a very polite way of saying that.
And there's also like he takes a shower. It shows you a lot of like the different kind of bits of gear he can put on and stuff like that. How he gets suited up before his missions. So it's not, that one's a bit of a drag to watch, I will admit. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you really, really want a lot of detail about this game at this point, but not super important. But the first one, which is, as I say, the one that the PlayStation blog kind of sums up, and that's where you'll get a lot of detailed information. This is sort of the character out and about in the world. You see, again, a lengthy sequence of basically preparing for a mission, which looks, again, like setup-wise, a lot of the mechanics in the game, a lot of the systems in the game look like Metal Gear Solid 5. You have things that look like the iDroid, your map looks like that. You have this kind of loadout section, which looks exactly like when you used to load up Snake, except now, instead of loading up like a dog and a gun and nothing much more than that cardboard box, you are stacking a huge amount of stuff on your back constantly.
So I'm seeing this. So your backpack, which is gigantic, no matter what you put on, it seems, but can be like ludicrously big. Like it can be like almost twice the size of Norman Reedus.
Yep. And
so how does that work?
I think that he, at this point in the game, has unlocked some sort of like exoskeleton type thing that makes him, so you'll also see sections of the video where despite having all of that, he can kind of leap over fairly huge jumps and that kind of thing.
One of the bits that I was trying to find in the video was just like an actiony bit.
Yep.
And that was what I was kind of surprised about when I was looking at it, and this is what I was going to ask you about. So that's interesting that you've said that. Was despite looking very cumbersome with all these things on his back, he was moving about quite freely and jumping about really easily, and it actually looked like more fluid movement mechanics than you were getting in, say, Metal Gear 5, which was very grounded and realistic, I suppose, whereas he was jumping about like a crazy person.
Yeah, it's definitely like I think they've thought a lot about how people are going to experience this game, and it's going to be like, from everything we've seen and including this video, there's a lot of just traversal, and I'll come on to like why I think that is actually quite interesting and probably plays into the social element so much. But yeah, like they've obviously thought about ways to allow you to get around the space a bit better, because otherwise I think the game would be a bit of a drag, and they're obviously quite keen not to suggest that at this point. So as well as that exoskeleton, which is kind of shown at one point, that allows you to leap around, you can also bring a little kind of trailer thing with you where you can put all your backpack stuff on it, and you can kind of leave that in places, so if you've got to fight you can kind of ditch your stuff and not lose it. But you can also mount that like a skateboard, and it sort of works.
I did also see that.
Yeah.
That looked awesome.
I mean, that bit of the video was absolutely brilliant, and it looks so much like shield surfing from Zelda, from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
I think there's quite a lot of interesting
I can see
parallels between those two games. And you see another scene where Norman Reedus' character, I think his name's Sam, I'm going to refer to him as Sam from now
I'm pretty sure it's Sam. Let's say Sam.
Yeah. So he also kind of jacks a car at one point, and like this kind of truck thing, and gets away from some action. So there's more to this world than just walking around, as we've seen, but we still don't know a lot about the actual nitty gritty of the gameplay in terms of like combat, or really kind of what you're supposed to be doing. It's largely still this idea of like getting around, delivering things, making connections with different people, and like that. I'll kind of end on that point. Like, there's a lot of interesting little tidbits in these videos that hint at what's really going on, which is things like stumbling across ladders that are already placed across canyons, say, or these kind of digital, like holographic signposts out in the world that maybe say, like, just through a symbol like this area is rocky and you'll struggle to get your little hover backpack thing across it. And they've got likes under it, like almost like the Facebook thumbs up like kind of symbol with numbers.
But this will be like a multiplayer thing, yeah?
Yeah,
this will be a kind of Bloodborne style,
like asynchronous multiplayer.
Asynchronous multiplayer, yes. That's
so it seems to me, and they've still not like 100% confirmed this, but it seems to me like one of the base mechanics is going to be that if you are playing in your game and you find an area and you go, well, the easiest way to get around this is to put ladders here, here, and here, and I want to leave a little warning that this area there's like a steep drop or like a blind fall or whatever, and you mark those things on, and then in my game a couple of weeks later I stumble across this area and it's maybe still got your ladders or one of your ladders, and I see your little sign saying this is a blind drop, so be careful. And I can like those things. They haven't said what that means for you, but presumably there's some benefit to you for me liking them. But it's sort of about players across the world communicating with each other about how to get across this world. And that's the key to the whole game, I think, is like connecting east to west. So I think that's what's happening in Death Stranding.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I like the idea in that. I like that idea in Bloodborne as well. I thought it was quite cool. The people in Bloodborne could be right dicks though, and they'd be like, oh yeah, there's a great thing down this way, and you turn a corner and it would be a monster who would rip your head off in an instant.
I'm sure there'll be loads of that going on here as well.
But apparently you can vote them thumbs down, so that's okay. Yeah, we'll put the video to both of the gameplay trailers in the show notes over at PlayersToo.com if you want to sit through a lot of Japanese videos. I think you can get them on the PlayStation Japan YouTube channel, actually. All right, and news item number 2. Apple Arcade. We've got more details on it. This was announced back around about E3 time, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
But we got more details at Apple's recent big reveal event where they revealed the new iPhones and where they do all that kind of stuff. But I was interested that this was first on their big keynote address, was the Apple Arcade. So they're obviously taking it quite seriously if they want to open the show with it. But however, they did open their wee section of games with Frogger into Toy Town, which was by Konami. And when they took out the man from Konami, I was like, this better not be a pachinko machine for the Apple Arcade. I was like, it cannot be, please don't make it so. Honestly, it looked like a Frogger game. I don't really know what was much to say about it. It was a very weak opening considering the next two games that we saw, the first of which was Shinsekai Into the Depths by Capcom, which I thought was really cool. Did you see the trailer for this?
I didn't actually know.
It was a kind of underwater experience where it was basically like a kind of side scroller, but all the audio for the game was recorded actually underwater, so it sounds like really creepy.
Nice,
and has a really good sound design to it, or I think anyway. It's like how you would actually hear some of these sounds underwater. Yeah, it was just quite interesting. It was just an interesting concept, I thought. And the game after that was Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is an Annapurna rhythm game, but it seems to have platforming elements as well to it, which I thought looked quite cool. And this launches on September the 19th for £4.99 a month, or $4.99 a month if you are in America. And it launches with a free trial month as well. $4.99 is pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, it's not bad at all, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently there's going to be over 50 titles at launch. There was a good article on Mac Rumors that gave you a big rundown of them all. Again, we'll put the links to that over at the show notes at PlayersToo.com. But some of the ones that stood out to me were Bleak Sword, which was a kind of pixel art Souls-like game by Digital Devolver. Exit the Gungeon, which is a 2D bullet hell version of Enter the Gungeon, which looked a bit wild, and it was about like going up in elevators rather than like dungeon crawling in 3D. I thought it was a really great idea from Devolver Digital. Did I say Digital Devolver the first time?
Not sure.
Did you? I reverse these two names so often. I call Devolver Digital Devolver so often, it is unbelievable. And another game called Cricket Through the Ages. Did you see this? This was also by Devolver Digital, and it was wild. I didn't really know what was happening. It just seemed like two people standing opposite one another, one with a bat, one with a ball, and they just seemed to be bouncing it off one another. it was absolutely mad. It was
just another physics game.
It was absolutely carnage. Yeah, it was a physics game.
My mind just switches off as soon as I see the word cricket. Totally passed me by.
Another one that stood out to me was Various Daylife, which was by Square Enix and the Octopath Traveler team, and it looks very much in the vein of Octopath Traveler, where it's a kind of menu-driven turn-based RPG, which I thought looked quite cool. And the Lego Brawl game, which was a kind of Smash-esque brawler, it looked like, which was really cool.
What kind of characters are in that? Is it just
Lego characters?
Just Lego figures?
Lego people.
Not from their mad universe of Lego stuff now.
I don't know, actually. That's a good question.
Bound to come down the line.
I do not know.
There's also a Rayman game coming from Ubisoft, which just from the artwork of it, like, just looks really nice. Like,
it was literally the next game.
Oh, was it? Perfect. Yeah. It's just like, that was the one that kind of, just to see Rayman coming back, and like, it's always been a really nice looking game, even from when we were kids. Like, it's super stylish, so like in a kind of platformy, cartoony way. But cool to see that coming back. Yeah,
so there's these 50 games going to be coming at launch, and then there's also, apparently there's over 100 in development as well, and some of the other ones that are on Apple's website that are obviously coming at a later date are The Pathless, which was the kind of Breath of the Wild-esque looking game from Annapurna. I think it came out last year at some point, actually, or maybe the beginning of this year. It looked like a cool wee indie game. It definitely caught my attention when it first came out. There was also another Lego game called Lego Art House coming at some point.
Oh wow.
And a port of Sonic Team Racing as well from Sega. So yeah, I mean, a lot of like serious titles like there,
decent stuff. Yeah.
No, I think that they've got a lot of good, interesting titles there from a lot of reputable publishers.
Yeah, it sounds like a great offer from Apple. Like you said, $4.99, including a free trial month. There's just not that much to get invested in some of these games, and given that they are, there's no in-app purchases, so to speak, it kind of takes away some of those kind of issues around mobile gaming. So it should be interesting to dive in and kind of try out some stuff there, basically.
Yeah, what do you think of the subscription model versus the free-to-play model with advertisements and stuff like that? Do you think this is the way forward for mobile games if they're to be taken seriously by quote-unquote real gamers?
I'm not sure. I think it could be an answer. I think the issue is that for $4.99 a month, that's great at the beginning, but you really need to see what kind of tail this has. So if there's still great games being released 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, then absolutely. Although that obviously starts to stack up over time. But no one basically is paying $4.99 or £5 or more for a mobile game as it is. So,
no, but they're probably paying that amount of money in microtransactions.
Exactly, yeah. It's this
free to play games.
This weird psychological thing where you see a small amount of money attached to a mobile game and you think no, but you will play it free and you might end up paying microtransactions. And this is a small enough amount of money as a subscription that I think people might take a punt on it. I don't play mobile games often, but I think with the free trial and like a low cost subscription to begin with, like this is something that I might give a bash for at least for a little while, and then just cancel if I'm not really doing anything with it. It feels like throwaway money almost.
Yeah. So what of those games do you think are like enticing to you? Like what would you play on your subscription then?
I think I would probably just try a lot of different things. So there's some of the ones you mentioned there. There was another one, Hot Lava, that kind of caught my attention. But yeah, like again, just with a subscription thing like this where there's a lot to try, it's a bit like us with the SNES stuff the other day. We just jumped in and obviously went to Metroid, but then we were playing that football game for a while as well. I can't remember what that's called. But
I think it's literally called Soccer.
Super Soccer.
I think it might be called, yeah.
When there's stuff there, then you just try it out. Like that's when you understand if £5 is a good offer or not. Once you've played some of these and you think, yeah, this Rayman game is great, this and that are really worth playing, £5 a month, who can argue with that? It's whether or not that lasts, basically, is the question,
Yeah. Alright, and news item number 3. Nintendo's released a thing, Lewis. I thought the initial trailer for this was a joke. I'm not going to lie, I thought it was a troll. I thought it was a very good troll, but I thought it was a troll nonetheless. It's Nintendo's Ring Fit adventure, Lewis. The trailer for this was insanely creepy. The couple that they had on this trailer looked as if they were machine made, and I also thought this was a troll. I thought that this was a troll on the announcement of that weird ring thing by Nintendo. But what this is it's just a ring that you can put your Joy-Con in, and a strap that you can strap your other Joy-Con to your leg, and you do exercises to traverse a world. And they've built a little adventure game around a fitness thing, effectively. That's what it is. It's an adventure game that you control by doing exercises. It was wild. It's going to be £70 here in the UK. It's going to be $80 in the US. Now, this is the thing. That Nintendo do this to me all the time, okay? It was like when Labo came out. I was like, is that the most stupid thing I have ever seen in my life? Or is this genius? I can never quite work it out. What is your take on this?
I think it's kind of cool. Like, it's not something that I will ever do.
I feel as if it's broken my brain. It's so unbelievably dumb and yet potentially brilliant at the same time.
Like, it looks naff. Like, the peripheral, like the ring-con and the leg strap thing, you know, it looks a bit like Labo did. It just looks like stuff they had kicking about the office and they manufactured it. So it's not the kind of most like appealing looking thing, but the idea of taking, you know, we can all see what this is, right? This is a continuation of Wii Fit. They want to get
exactly.
That Wii Fit gold.
They want that Wii Fit crowd back.
Yeah.
You know, all those people that bought a Wii for no other reason than Wii Fit, they want them to now buy a Switch. Yeah, basically.
But they are also, by building this kind of adventure stroke RPG game to go alongside it, they're trying to entice in kind of quote unquote regular gamers as well, so that it's got a bit of narrative and a bit of actual gameplay going on. So I think that in itself is like a good idea. I think that this won't sell particularly well and it might not go very far.
Do you not think it'll do as well as Wii Fit?
I don't think it will, Mark.
Do you think it'll do as well as Labo?
I think it will be similar in that we might stop hearing about it in the not too distant future. Only because Wii Fit just kind of worked. It had these, like, you know, the hand remotes, people could get it. They had
that scale thing that you stood on where you
balance board thing, and like your old granny could understand what was going on with it. You just move around. This ring thing is a bit more strange, and like strapping things to your leg is, you know, I can just imagine people will be kind of like, what am I doing here? And £80 for all of this. There's no promise of future games.
70 quid.
70 quid here, yeah. There's no promise at the moment of any future game or any kind of mechanic within any game being able to use this thing.
Well, there was chat that you could use the ring as a peripheral eventually.
Yeah.
So you could use it for, say, Mario Kart as like a steering wheel.
Oh, well, that would be okay. So, if they can start to do things like that, then that might change it slightly. But I can't help but think as well, for £80, if you're really like keen,
70 quid.
Sorry, it's because of the $80. 78 of your Queen's pounds. That you could just get a gym membership and it would last longer, you know, if you really cared enough to try and get fit. Like,
well, I must admit, I think that the idea of gamifying fitness isn't a bad thing.
Not at all.
It's a very good thing. I think that this is a good thing that they're trying to do. I'm not necessarily saying that this is a good execution of what they're trying to do, but I think what they're trying to do is good. I think it's fair to say that gamers have a bit of a reputation for sitting on their arse a lot of the time and playing video games rather than being out and about and being active. And this getting people more active is no bad thing. Like, I have nothing against this at all. Like you, I'm having quite a strong debate within myself about whether this is going to sell anything at all or if we're going to see this in a lot of CEXs and second-hand shops very quickly after it launches. Alright, and news item number 4. It looks like E3 are going to cater more to celebrities, consumers and influencers at the upcoming 2020 E3, according to a leak. This leak from GameDaily.biz, not to be confused with GamesIndustry.biz, which I was doing all day. From this leak, it seems that the ESA are going to release 10,000 more consumer tickets, bringing the amount of consumers up to 25,000. So that's nearly doubling the amount of consumers that are going to be there. It should say as well that this seems to have come from a presentation from a lobbying group and how that they can change E3 and get more people involved and probably effectively make it a bit more profitable in reality. There was talk in this presentation about introducing an app that you could book specific time slots for events and like kind of avoid queues. This was very much in the style of the kind of Disneyland fast pass style or whatever it is they call it. And for the people that did queue, there would be queutainment.
Just what you've always wanted, Mark.
Queutainment, a real word that again they used in this presentation. But then they also mentioned that it was a means of direct marketing to people in the queue, and it's just like, man, that's I just hate all this business language around this stuff. It's about video games. It's fun, guys. It can be fun. And again, there was also chat about, because they were going to be introducing so many more consumers to E3, and perhaps this might not be ideal for the industry people who are more used to going to a certain type of E3 that is definitely going away, that they would have a dedicated media day or industry day, which would effectively be the Tuesday, the day one of E3. People like Sony weren't there last year, or this year even, and Activision weren't on the show floor either this year, and EA are continuing to do their own thing and have their own conference, and Microsoft are continuing to do their own thing and have their own conference. It seems as though E3 is kind of losing its identity a little bit. It is having a bit of an identity crisis. And they've also pissed off everyone by having a massive leak of information recently. And it appears as though that leak might have went back for several years and they weren't really entirely admitting to it, which was a bit shady.
Yeah.
E3 not in a great situation right now, I don't think.
I think what you said there, Mark, about it being in the grips of an identity crisis, and the E3 that has been known up till now, which has been largely kind of business to business and press focused, that's all done. That it can't continue like that. And we saw, as you said, like the publishers are pulling out, they're changing what they do, they're looking after themselves, they're going directly to the consumers. That is the future. And you can see it in the GameDaily.biz article. There's a comparison of numbers, and E3 this year, and it's not trying to be what Gamescom is, but it's less than a sixth of the size of people that were at Gamescom 2019 were at E3 2019.
Yeah, so there was 373,000 people at Gamescom, and there was only 66,000 people at E3, which is significantly less.
That's sizable. And so
and considering E3 is, well, not the biggest, obviously, but the most important, I would argue, well, certainly in the West anyway, games conference.
Yeah, it's
around,
sort of a flagship. It's
absolutely.
A total.
It's where all the announcements happen. It's where all the games consoles are revealed. Yeah. It's where all the big, huge announcements happen for the year. Always has, always, well, will it always be?
Well, who knows? Who knows, yeah. But so I think that they basically have to do something like this. They have to take a slice of that kind of gaming festival pie that other people are having if they want to survive and stay relevant. I don't know whether this plan will itself bring the publishers back en masse. I don't see that Sony is thinking, one of the suggestions that's in this is like having some LA Lakers players playing NBA games on stage.
I know, I see that. See that. That is so unbelievably misguided. Like, why not get Ninja on playing Shroud at Fortnite?
Yeah.
That is, in the gaming world, that is 1,000 times bigger than the LA Lakers will ever be to these people. Like, why not have something like that? Why are you talking about celebrities? Like, I understand the Keanu thing from this year's E3 was probably like one of the highlights of E3, but that's because it came out of such left field, and it was totally unexpected, and Keanu Reeves was the hottest thing in the planet at that moment as well, particularly in kind of nerd culture as well. But like, if like Kanye West is telling me that I should buy the new Call of Duty, like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy that they think that gamers, and it is proper gamers, like it's hardcore gamers that care about E3.
Yeah, they're going to go
would like tune into E3 and would go to E3. But because quote unquote like big celebrities, like I don't even know who that is. Kind of gamer celebrities are kind of like quite nuanced and are like quite insular within the gaming community. And then if you're bringing in like big Hollywood actors and stuff like that who don't give a shit about video games, like that's the worst thing that you can do, is like, see if you bring in someone who doesn't know anything about video games, looks stupid, isn't as clued up as the people in the crowd about video games, then it looks really, really bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks really bad.
That's a huge thing, that, because you just end up with a massive divide between the people on stage and the people off it, and that is when your event is dying. And it does seem like there'll be a lot of convincing of the membership, which is essentially the publishers, to go along with this. So I don't think this is a done deal yet by any stretch. I imagine we'll hear more about this. I wonder if it has leaked because the ESA wants to get some public feedback on it, understand what gamers and the people who might come to this event will think of it, because otherwise I don't really see why we're getting it now, like why it's coming out. So, well,
from the Reddit comments around about this, which I know isn't exactly a bastion of the world, right, but it was almost exclusively negative.
Was it?
It really was. It was like, why are you doing this? Do you know, I almost feel as if E3's having a bit of an identity crisis, as I said. There's a big part of me that thinks, like, why doesn't this go the other way? Why isn't this a hyper fucking exclusive event? Like, instead of making it for 66,000 people, why not make it for like 40,000 people and have basically don't make it a consumer show. This was always a trade show. It was always a trade show. And why not like lean into that? Why not lean into that bit of it? But I don't know if the fact that big publishers like Sony, Microsoft, EA are now going off and doing their own thing around E3 rather than at E3.
Yeah.
It was no longer viable for them to lean into that, which is quite sad because as someone who is quite plugged into the industry, like I like that. Like I actually quite like that because it's quite different from Gamescom, which is very consumer focused, and I'm sure that's amazing for the people that are there. But for someone who's not there and is quite unlikely to go in reality, maybe at some point in my lifetime, but not like very soon, I wouldn't have thought. And I'm definitely not going to fly to LA to go to
unless anyone wants to invite us.
Unless anyone wants to invite us, and you can find us at all the social media. No, but I just think that in the announcements that come out of that, because the publishers who are there, your Bethesda's and Nintendo and whoever, know who they're speaking to. Like they're speaking directly to the people who are going to generate buzz around their games. But instead of it being only media outlets now, then let's make it like influencers. Let's make it like YouTube people that are all there, that are all at this like massive, very exclusive conference where they all get to play exclusive demos and things like that. Because this is another thing, is that I think the reason why there was so many amazing demos and exclusive things that were getting shown at E3 for a long time, as opposed to these other quote like more festival things, which is like the kind of language that's being used in this presentation, is because it's not been given to the consumer. It's been given to people that understand the industry, understand games development, understand that it's alpha game. Do you know what I mean? They understand that when they pick up the controller and they play an alpha game, it's not going to be that sharp. Do you know what I mean? But they can evaluate it and they can see, oh, the bones of this are something special. Do you know what I mean? You won't get that at a consumer show. You simply will not. So it would be sad to see things like that go, which is interesting that they're bringing in this kind of closed doors day, like you were saying, this media only day, this industry only day. All that stuff will be happening then. But it was always a trade thing. It was always to go and network for people in the industry. No, I just don't know. I really think that E3 has to decide what it is and commit to it. And I'm not really sure that this change is going to be beneficial to them. I struggle to see them coming out the other side of this looking better than they were. You know?
Totally. And I don't think this is the end of it. I think there will be further changes to this. So let's just wait and see what E3 looks like next year. It's going to be a strange one, I'm sure.
Okay, just to finish off on a couple of shout-outs. What we mentioned last week, Borderlands 3 came out. Borderlands 3 came out on the Friday last week as we record this. Reviewed quite well, but the reviews were given out in a very strange manner and weren't given out to all outlets. And subsequently, we've now discovered, due to user reviews, that there are some pretty drastic problems with this game from a technical perspective again. So again, it's things like frame rate drops, particularly in co-op mode. It seems really rough, and people are not having a good time with it, basically. And or a lot of people certainly aren't having a great time with it, I think, particularly online. And I don't think that that's really reflected in the review scores. And I don't know if I'm getting a bit tinfoil hat here, right? But I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me, this.
Pretty uncomfortable as well with it, particularly given the odd way that the game codes were given out and to only select reviewers and publications and stuff. It does seem a little bit like they were sitting on problems that they were aware of and they just didn't want people to know about. Seems like there's been issues with cloud saves and progress loss and that kind of stuff, which is just like not good for players.
Well, as well, the reviewers were also told that the version of the game that they got wasn't the final version of the game, and so I think that a lot of the performance issues that reviewers might have been experiencing during their review time, they might have been chalking up to the fact that it wasn't a final build of the game, when in actual fact the final build of the game is out and it's still got performance issues. And I'm like, have you kind of tainted this? Have you kind of tried to get out in front of this? And I mean, done it well from a PR perspective. I mean, as far as Take-Two is concerned, they've done well. They've got a game that maybe doesn't deserve the reviews that it got. I don't know. It just doesn't sit very well with me. I still definitely want to play it, which I mean, I definitely do. And actually, I was going to say we should play the co-op.
I'd be up for trying it. Yeah, it's not necessarily my vibe.
No, I know it's not your cup of tea necessarily, but I still definitely want to play it. I was much more into the kind of campaign stuff of Borderlands anyway than the multiplayer. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if something comes out of this in maybe a couple of months. We'll get a Jason Schreier on it or something. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't sit great with me. Next up was Final Fantasy VII Remake is getting a classic mode, which allows you to play in a kind of menu system similar to the original game. It won't be this kind of dynamic system whereby you're also using menus, but you're also using more kind of hack and slash as well. I think this is a cool addition. I think it's kind of cool that they're adding it in. I'm actually not massively interested in using it.
Yeah.
I think that the game has been designed around this new dynamic combat, which I'm actually quite excited about. And when I saw the combat at E3, I was like, wow, that looks quite different to anything that I've ever played before, certainly. And I'm very interested to give that a go. There's 1,000 ways that I could play Final Fantasy VII with the original menu-driven combat. You know, I'm not massively interested in that. If it's got a different cool new battle system, let's fucking do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
It's a good bit of fan service there, I think, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it is a good bit of fan service.
But I think most people will probably play it.
But it's just nice to know that it's there. Yeah. It's nice to know that it's there. Next up was Anthem. Anthem has joined EA Access, which allows you to play the games on there for, it's quite cheap actually. Is it like £4 a month, something like that? And then I think they have a premium version as well, which is like a tenner.
Yeah, the basic subscription costs £3.99 a month, and the monthly cost for the PC Premier version is £15.
Ooh, well, laddie da.
I had to say it in that voice.
No, I just think this is interesting that it's now on EA Access. I really truly wonder how much longer EA are going to be interested in supporting this game, because the launch didn't go well and the DLC didn't go well. I'm not sure how many people went back for that DLC. I'm not sure how many people are going to go back for any future DLC that they may or may not be making. I don't even know anymore. It's just quite interesting, probably quite sad development for Anthem in reality. Okay, time for some beers.
Yeah.
Back with Topic of the Week. And we are back with Topic of the Week. Topic of the Week this week is mobile games. We don't talk a lot about mobile games on this podcast, and so I thought, because of the Apple Arcade news that we got this week, I just thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of talk about mobile games. A big part of the industry these days, despite the fact that nobody really wants to acknowledge it. So yeah, Lewis, what makes a good mobile game? Go. Lewis, what are all the problems with mobile games and how do we solve them?
Here is my thesis. As I said earlier, like, I don't play a lot of mobile games, and there's, I think, some fairly sort of serious reasons for that, including that I think a lot of the issues that are in modern gaming right now kind of stem quite often from mobile gaming, and particularly the kind of economics that underpin them. But I think what makes mobile games interesting is not when they just take games that are on other platforms and try and make it work on a tiny phone. The idea of trying to manipulate kind of fake, like, joysticks on a screen and that kind of thing, I just can't.
Inputs on mobile phones are rough.
Yeah, extremely
and
problematic.
actually, I think that this is a big drawback from a lot of the games that we heard about from Apple Arcade, actually, was that a lot of them were games that were designed to be played with a controller.
Yep.
And I know that a lot of the Apple Arcade footage has been shown with like one of these controllers with like a screen attached to it, effectively. But there's just not a lot of people going to be doing that. Most people are going to be wanting to play on their phone using the touchscreen. And for a lot of the games that they showed, particularly like platformers and things like that, it can be pretty rough. It can be pretty rough trying to input controls into a phone. It just is.
Totally, yeah. So to go into what I think makes a good game, or certainly for me, I think a decent mobile game should use its inputs creatively, and I'm thinking particularly about ways that it can integrate things that are actually kind of native to phones and using a phone and that kind of experience. So a game that I love that people might not know very well called Subterfuge, which I could go on about at length, and I won't do it now because I could fill up the rest of the show with it. But in extreme brief, it's the kind of real-time strategy game played out among other human players across the world, and there's maybe like, say, 6 different people playing in a game, and you control submarine bases and you attack each other. But the main kind of interesting mechanic is that it has like an in-game chat function, which is just a text messaging service essentially, and you can message each other and make plans and create betrayals or create alliances, and it plays out over real time. It all happens in real time, so you might make your moves and then go to work and then check it again at the end of your working day, and you've got a message from someone and they're saying, let's team up and attack this other person, and that things like that in games.
That was a really clever way of doing that within a game, because the texting, the messaging the communication within that is very important to the game. And what is a phone really good at if not communicating with
Exactly,
people, do you know what I
yeah.
mean? So they very cleverly built a game around that,
Yeah.
which was just genius. It was absolutely genius.
Yeah, and
really creative way of doing that.
And it worked so well. And even a game that we didn't like as much as we thought we would, but Bury Me, My Love, which, if you don't know it, is a game kind of about essentially about a couple trying to escape from Syria during the Civil War.
Yeah, and it was based on like real text messages sent during that time among real Syrian refugees. But it was kind of made into it was sort of a choose your own adventure type text game, which told a quite interesting story, but it has numerous potential endings, and I just don't think mine was particularly satisfying. I think it was more than what came out of it than anything. But nonetheless, it was a very creative way of doing something like that. A game that I loved on mobile was Gorogoa.
Oh yeah.
Which was a superb little puzzle game, which required very minimal inputs for quite complex puzzles, which involved you staring at your phone for quite a long period of time. But in actual fact, the inputs weren't very complicated, but the puzzles were. So that kept you engaged, although it wasn't like actiony, it wasn't like a lot of inputs or anything like that, but it required quite a bit of thinking, which I also quite liked. So it's things like that, like menu-driven games. So the game from Square Enix, which was in line with the sort of combat that you might expect to see in some of the old school Final Fantasy games that, like we were just talking about, the kind of menu driven stuff, and in Octopath Traveler, which was the kind of akin to a lot of those games back there. Like, I am shocked that there isn't a game like that that's done well, like very well, on iOS or on mobile games, because that menu driven stuff, it's super easy. Click, 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 thing goes, we attack, animation happens. Run back, next person takes a turn. Do you know what I mean? So this is why I think that the Fire Emblem Heroes done very well on mobile was because the inputs were quite deliberate, we'll say. So you were doing this with these units and moving here and attacking these people, and it was done in real time, I suppose, but in a more strategic manner. And I think that games like that do quite well. But with the game that I was going to mention that was my favourite game that I've probably ever played on mobile, which was Florence.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Which actually just told an amazing story. And I'm wondering how they achieved that, really, because I don't know many games that told an amazing narrative story on a mobile game, like, apart from that.
No.
And I thought that because of the success of Florence, which won a huge amount of awards last year, wasn't it? Last year, the year before, maybe?
I think, yeah.
I'm surprised that nobody else has tried to do that. No one else has tried to tell like a really interesting narrative in a mobile game, and I just think that a short experience like that was really good, because Florence was... It never had any microtransactions, it never had any adverts in it. It cost £3 or something like that, and it was what, maybe like a 2-hour experience.
It was about an hour.
And it was the best £3 or however much. It's even if it cost like a £5, that was totally worth it.
Yeah,
it was really, really good. That, and I just think that it could be such an interesting medium to tell short narrative based experiences with really clever inputs, like around what you're doing in the narrative, like what Florence did. Absolutely.
Like the way that game, like, it feels to me like Florence was written first, and then someone went back and went, how do we gamify it? And maybe that sounds negative, and I don't mean it to at all. Like, that's how good the kind of storytelling is within it, and they just do it in really interesting ways with their game mechanics. And I think that is such a crucial thing. Like, what Florence does, other than its own like shortness just as a game, is that it's all quite quick bite-sized little experiences, and I think that is super important to mobile gaming, and that's maybe why some of the bigger kind of RPGs or JRPGs haven't quite lifted off.
Well, this is another thing that I was thinking about. So an episodic released game has never really been done on a mobile before, but imagine you had Florence Part 2 that came out this year. Like, I'd buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
because it's a mobile game, the point of entry is real low for most of these games. You know what I mean? So even if it is another £4 and I have to buy Florence Part 3 the next year, and again it's only another 2 hours, I think that might be quite a good way to do it. Do you know what I mean? I think that would be an interesting way to tell an interesting narrative on a mobile game in very short bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
And as long as the gameplay is interesting around that, and the way that the narrative of Florence kind of flows into the gameplay is done like so well. It's done so well, and it tells this really interesting, really human story over a very short space of time. It's just tremendous, and I just don't understand why no one else has done that, or no one else has done that in the way that Florence, and don't get me wrong, like Florence was particularly special. I'm not saying that's an easy thing to do, but I'm surprised that there hasn't been a lot more attempts.
No.
You know?
And I think that probably for developers, it's cheaper and easier and more straightforward just to make something that feels kind of addictive and a bit silly. And
this is it. You know what I mean? This is the thing. What is the incentive to make the next Florence when you can make a match 3 and load it up with microtransactions, and you'll make magnitudes more money than you would ever make with a game like Florence? You know.
I can only imagine the reason to do it is simply that you are passionate about games and you want to get further in this industry and in that career. You know, you can imagine, I don't know much about the development behind Florence, but you can imagine those people might be fairly fresh in their career. They might have just, you know, it's got like a really nice but a pretty simple like kind of illustrated art style and that kind of thing, so it's not taking huge teams of people to code. And you could imagine they are just like, we want to make a little statement with this game, and in 5 years time we're going to be making Switch games or PlayStation games or Steam games or whatever that are going to take the building blocks of what we did there and we've developed on them. You know, it's like a statement. But yeah, beyond that, there is no incentive really. Because even, you know, what was that? Is it Donut County or whatever that I think Devolver Digital put out as well?
Yeah.
And that did well, and that was like nominated for various like mobile game awards last year. Like, and by all accounts, it's really fun. I kind of wanted to play it at the time, but never did. And it's kind of a bit like Katamari Damacy or whatever, like just a kind of tidy up your environment kind of game. But even that still is just like mindless kind of fun, just like get in, move stuff around, have a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that short experiences on the phone, because I'm thinking like, what are the best mobile games that I play? Like I've been addicted to Tetris for a long time on my phone. Again, Dr. Mario World, which I'm still playing on my phone. Balls
we used to
with
play
a
Balls.
Z. We used to play all the time, which is an absolutely riddled with horrible adverts and like pay not to wait garbage. And sometimes it really feels as if it cheats you out of things as well, just to show you an advert, which I don't like. But again, it was good fun. Like it was good kind of mindless fun. So I think that things like Donut County are probably quite good examples of games on phones and games on phones that can be done well. And although I'm saying I'm surprised that a menu-driven game like Final Fantasy VII hasn't done well on a phone yet, although I've said that, I'm not surprised at all that Final Fantasy VII itself did not do well on a mobile phone, because of exactly the reason that you said, is because it's a pretty long game. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not 90 hours I spent in Fire Emblem, but it's long. I mean, it's long. That's a lot of time for most people to sit down in front of their phone and be paying attention to their phone, and that is probably the least good way to play any of those sort of games, you know? Well,
exactly, and you just don't want to be in a situation where you're jumping off your bus after 20 minutes and you're midway through a battle or something and you just have to leave it there. Like, that's why short experiences on phones are so good, because that's generally how you're going to do it. You're never going to sit at home playing a mobile game for hours and hours and hours, or a lot of people won't. So
yeah. Well, anyway, that's some games that we thought were good on mobiles anyway. I think we could probably do with playing more mobile games in general, to be honest. Or I certainly feel as if I could.
Apple Arcade, that's the answer then.
Apple Arcade, no, but I wanted to play Sky from the makers of Journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely get around to that. I feel as if I owe it to myself now after having
cleared Fire Emblem.
And having cleared Fire Emblem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll call it a day there. I'd just like to remind everyone that you can follow PlayersToo on all the social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the lot. You can also find our written content over at playerstoo.com. That's PLAYERSTOO.com. And if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts, that would really, really, really help us out. I cannot describe to you how much it helps us out. There's a reason that every podcast that you listen to asks you to do this, and it really, really does help us out a lot. And while you're over there, giving us 5 stars, if you could also give us a wee review as well, that also helps us out so much. And if you're someone who's done either of those things or both of those things, thank you. You're a total hero, yes. And I would just like to remind everybody that our game for this month, our play-along game, is Braid, which I think Lewis has been getting into a wee bit again recently.
Yeah, I fired it back up a couple of days ago, having beat it, I think 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer even. And yeah, it's real satisfying.
It's a real special game, and if anyone wants to play along with us, reach out on social media and tell us what you think of it. Like, I'd be really interested to see what people think of this game, because it is quite esoteric, so it'd be quite interesting to see what a lot of people think about it, and if it resonates with many other people the way it resonated with me. Okay, see you later, guys.
Thanks very much.